So, you've decided to start a new to you movement practice. What are some things you could think about and ways you could talk to your instructor before you really get started? Let's get into that.
Well, first of all, are you in any shape to get into shape is the question. The answer is yes. It does not matter where you are in your journey. It does not matter the shape of your body, your size, your weight. You can get started and you can get somewhere from where you are.
I love that you brought that up, Mary. Yes, I often have a lot of students, co-practitioners in yoga asanas practice who feel intimidated by that, or they are perhaps large bodied people who feel that there might not be modifications for them. In most cases, there actually are. We can also do the practice from a chair. We can give you lots of extra padding or change the movement slightly. So it's great to come to your instructor with concerns you might have. And it's almost always possible to modify and customize the asanas practice as far as yoga goes.
Same with Pilates. There's a modification for every exercise. And you have to remember that there are so many different exercises in Pilates that not everyone is going to be the right one for you. There are some that I can't do, and I do them all. And there are some seasoned instructors who can't do certain things because it's just not made for their body. And that is okay.
That's also part of why we offer child's pose or other types of resting poses as far as yoga asanas practice, so that if something really isn't for them and they've tried the modification and that's not really working, they can take a moment and rest, and that's okay too. I always appreciate that as an instructor. I'm supposed to be practicing non-judgment and non-harm. The only kind of gentle boundary I like to have in my classes is I'm not super fond of it when somebody comes into my class and does a whole other entire flow that has nothing close to what we're doing with the poses we're practicing. This is
done this before.
Yeah, this is something that I would see in the back of in-person classes like pre-pandemic a lot. I don't want to impose my way of doing things, but I try to lead a practice that is generally accessible to everyone and that you can tweak slightly, but I'd like folks to stick somewhere around it. So that's the only ask I really in my instructor ego have of students.
One of the most important things that you should do is before you even talk to an instructor, you should talk to a medical professional. Tell them about all the conditions that you might have, get some blood work done, get a complete physical, and get cleared for the kind of movement you'd like to do.
Especially if you have recently, recovered from an injury or surgery, or, gone through PT as a separate thing, or having changes to your body weight or shape. This can be relevant also to transgender, gender diverse community. We have surgeries that might affect our center of gravity, or things that might be contraindicated that we have to stay away from while we're healing from medical transition type things. All of that is important. Please also make sure you have a medical team that's actually listening to you. That's an important first step as well, because we are fitness instructors, but we're not medical professionals, and you should defer to what your doctor recommends or unrecommends within that.
By the way, all the doctors I've ever talked to recommend Pilates and yoga.
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll talk about that in another video, but there's so many benefits to it.
What are the benefits of just movement in general? Let's go over that.
Is relevant to a lot of people's experience coming through middle age and moving up into older adulthood. Teaching older adults is something that I have some experience and training with. A large segment at this point in time of my student base are also fellow middle-aged folks. Folks, on average between 40 and pretty much up to 70. It is so important, and this statement is credit of Christina Nikaya of Fit and Bendy. I first heard this thought from her, but it is so important as you age to continue to move through your full range of motion every single day, which is why folks who have really intensively continued to pursue, for example, dance movement or martial arts movement, like way into being older adults, sometimes they'll still be able to maintain that range of motion. It's not something that everyone can do, and you should manage your expectations around that, but that's part of why we have those practices to move through our full range. As folks age, it's common to experience hormonal changes, bone loss, muscle loss, often hormonally or not, issues related to sleep. And having movement practices can help with all of those things. It can help slow the process. Doing a certain series or of vinyasa or certain types of asanas in yoga physical practice can aid with sleep as well.
Absolutely. Aid with sleep. It can help you manage stress, all of it.
As I mentioned in another video, yoga was always meant to be, at least to some extent, a mind-body practice, because yoga has been so introduced and assimilated into global north, global minority cultures kind of fitness context. We did end up sanitizing a lot of the spiritual practice out of it, but the meditative parts and the spiritually connective parts are meant to at least somewhat be there, even if we get less religiously specific about it at the end of class. They are meant to be a holistic part of the entire work.
That is one difference between Pilates and yoga, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Pilates was always, meant to be secular, and that's okay.
Can get in the zone, though. You
Yes.
can.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a whole lot to be said about how different types of physical movement practices put you into that sort of trance-like state. And humans have known that for a really long time. So definitely.